This episode is brought to you by the I Am a Five-Star Woman Retreat. Join us as women convene south of tropical Miami, Florida on October 6, 2018. In this one-day retreat from our surrounding worlds, ladies will congregate to enjoy all things Jamila Wellness, from uniting the women in the family with the Forever Brunch, to living our star lives, to building our resilience with Naturally Cinnamon. The attendees of these retreats will leave with tools to immediately apply to their lives. The menu, each section, and every activity have been delicately created to increase every aspect of wellness in women: mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, financial wellness, and yes, spiritual wellness too. Not only will you walk away with having developed each point of your star, you will be a five-star woman. Register now at www.starshineconference.com and use promo code podcast to receive 10% off your ticket. Can't make it and want a live stream? There's an option for you too. www.starshineconference.com. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time of the day it is that you're tuning in. Welcome to another episode of the Resilience Rising podcast with me, Naturally Cinnamon. I am a therapist, life coach, resilience cultivator, and the founder and CEO of Jamila Wellness LLC, where women go to be well and live beautifully. You can find us at resiliencerisinpodcast.com. You can also send in your questions, topics, comments, and feedback at resiliencerisinpodcast@gmail.com. Like this, love this, share it, rate it, comment, but most important, make sure that you're subscribed and following. Here's another episode. Hope you enjoy. Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to jump right in. We are finishing up our relationship series in this episode, and this is the fourth episode in the 4-episode relationship series. The first one was about our relationships with ourselves, which was the self-love episode. The second episode was our relationships with our friends, and my best friend of almost 30 years of best friendship joined me for that episode. And last week, our episode was on relationships with our romantic partners and the things that we might be doing that we're not aware of that could foster some negativity in those relationships. So today we're going to talk about our relationships with our family members. That seems to be one of the hardest things to navigate because, like you said, we can choose our friends, we can choose our people that we're in relationship with, but we cannot choose our family members. So, and of course that's up for debate, but you've got family that I can't tomorrow decide I'm no longer going to be your sister. Like, it doesn't work that way. So we're going to talk about that. Now, I'm still coming to you from vacation for those of you on video that can see the difference in the background, but I will be returning home shortly. Yeah, vacation's over. Summer's coming to an end. Everyone's in back to school mode. So, it is what it is. This time comes every year. So I'm still going to come to you though and talk to you about this. Now, we're going to skip the wins, L's, and I don't knows for this week because I haven't accessed social media and the email recently to check in and see what people have sent in. So we'll try to catch up as much as we can on the next episode. And somebody did DM me to say, hey, I noticed you're skipping over the Red Table Talking segment. And well, that's because, and if you've been watching Red Table Talk, that's because they're taking a break right now. So there are new episodes that have come out. And that's why I haven't been discussing any of their new episodes. But someone did recommend that we pick up another show to discuss and, break down. So, let me know. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, I may check out Love Is. I haven't looked into any of the episodes there, but it's getting rave reviews from what I can see. Of course, I'm kind of hooked on Queen Sugar right now. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. So anyway, we're going to go right into the topic, and we're talking about our family unit, I'll call it Family Ties. If anybody remembers that show without dating yourself. So first thing I want to bring up is that there are different types of family structures, and there's the nuclear family, which is the most popular family structure, the most accepted in society, so to speak, I guess. And that's when there are two parents and their children, and they make up a nuclear family. When there's two, more often than not, married parents, or at least they're committed to each other. They're living basically you all live in one household. So there's there's that nuclear family, the parents and their children. There's single parent families. There are extended families. Now, your extended family members may include your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, cousins. That's your extended family, but that's still a family structure. There's a step family, and then there's a blended family. A lot of times they're combined. A lot of times people combine step families and blended families. Now, I am going to give what I think is the difference between a step family and a blended family. A step family can include, for example, let's say I don't have children and the person I'm marrying does have children from a previous relationship or a previous marriage. Then I become the stepmother and they become my stepchildren. Of course, we don't call them that too much anymore. They're like our bonus children. We've matured as a society as we think about and treat stepchildren. At least I hope that's true. But a blended family would be if the person I have children and the person that I'm marrying also has children from previous relationships, and now we're blending. That person that I'm marrying is a single parent family unit. I am a single parent family unit, so we're blending the two families. That's what I think is a difference between step family and blended family. That's my opinion. And then we also have our family that we choose. A lot of people say there's family by blood and family by love. And who you love. I watched a movie on Netflix while I'm here on vacation called Like Father. And the father was played by Kelsey Grammer. And yes, it is a Netflix original movie. So if you have Netflix and you would like to check it out, check it out. I kind of liked the movie. It was called Like Father. And that he did not really have close connection with his daughter or any of his family members, but he had a business partner for probably 25 years or so. That was his family. They were each other's family. So, and that person had passed away and he was really kind of lost as it pertained to, having a family structure or a family unit. So there's family by blood and there's family by love. There's family by choice. And I wanted to point all of those out because for the purposes of this episode, I don't want to focus on the family by love or the family by choice. I don't want to focus on the family by choice. I want to focus on the family you're born into, or even if you're a child and married into it, now you've got a step or a blended family, how we deal with that. So, as we know, those are the relationships that can be a little difficult to navigate at times. A lot of people talk about how family members get together a lot when there's a funeral or a wedding. That's when you see your family members at a wedding or funerals. That's when families get together. And so if it's somebody that you don't see or speak to often, how do you relate to them? As far as having a relationship with family members, how do we relate? So I wrote down a couple of things that I was thinking of as I visit with my family members that I don't live near, but I try to keep in touch with them as much as I can. And there are some things to acknowledge as it pertains to your family members and family relationships. One of those is your familial and cultural norms and traditions. Whether you celebrate them or not, just know what they are. Acknowledge that they do exist. These are called the family processes, which basically is defined to the psychosocial, physiological, and spiritual functions and relationships within the family unit. I'll say that again. Your family processes are defined by your psychosocial, physiological, and spiritual functions and relationships within the family unit. Prime example, my family was raised in the church. We were raised to be Christians on both sides of my father's side and my mother's side. Like, it's not a question mark about it. It's not a question mark about it. So here we are today where there's so much more information at people's fingertips and a lot more people are dissecting and questioning a lot of the religious and the religion, the religious traditions and things of that nature. So when we come together for a reunion of sorts and it's a weekend long, it's kind of understood that on Sunday church is going to be included, not because somebody's trying to force a tradition down your throat, but because you're acknowledging that this has been a thread in our family history for hundreds of years. Like, this is not something that we woke up a couple years ago and was like, you know what, we're going to start going to church. No, this is something that was woven through the history of our family structure for generations. And so recognizing that that is a function and a norm and a tradition in the family just kind of is like, whether you incorporate it in your adult life or not, recognizing that that's there, it's there. It kind of helps as you talk to and relate with your other family members, knowing what some of the traditions are, knowing that there's a tradition of a certain dish that's made around Thanksgiving or Christmas time, around the holiday season, a certain dish is made. Whether you know how to make the dish or not, or whether you eat it or not, or whether you even care to know anything about it or not, recognize if you're going to have a family function at your house, recognizing that everyone else in the family may still hold to that dish. Maybe even if you don't know how to make it, ask somebody to bring it. Even if everybody's like, oh, it's okay. Just the fact that you asked for someone to bring that particular dish and you try to include it, it sends warm fuzzies. It helps with the relationships and the communications among family members. Know what those traditions are. Understand that, look, this is the way that my parents roll. Look, this is the way that my aunt so-and-so works. This is how my grandparents operate. This is just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Right, wrong, otherwise, it's just the way it is. This is how they live. Just like I'm an adult and I have a right to create or continue my own traditions. They are adults and they have the right to create or continue their own traditions, and they've decided to continue this tradition. I will respect that. But it's kind of hard to respect what the traditions are if you don't even know what they are. So try to make yourself aware of the familial and cultural norms and traditions of your family unit. If you're marrying into a family, try to learn what those are. If you are finding yourself engaging in that family, if one of your parents marries into a different culture, or not even a different culture, but just somebody from a different geographical region, and there's certain norms as it pertains to that, try to learn what they are, because now your parent is going to be engaging in those things. And it just helps. It really helps to be aware, to be knowledgeable of certain things, not an expert, just to be aware, just to know that this is a thing. So that's my first point to acknowledge as it pertains to your family. Also, the second point is to be open to the change in times and the societal norms. For example, okay, again, with the example of the dish, for example, in my family, when it's time for Thanksgiving, we just have food. Nobody thought of anything dietary. Nobody thought of any particular choices in food or anything like that. And then maybe a couple of years ago, if it wasn't just most recent Thanksgiving, one of my cousins was like, I'm vegan. Oh my God. We had no idea how to deal with that. We didn't know how to tailor any food to make sure that she had, she could have something to eat. Even if it was something vegetables, we always put it with a meat-based product was always involved. It was very difficult. It was very difficult, but nobody ridiculed her about it. We were like, well, this is a booming decision that people are making to become vegan, or at least include some vegan practices into their diet. So, we called her ahead of time to say, listen, this is what the menu is. Is there anything on here that you can eat? And it wasn't that we were going to change our whole menu to suit somebody. No, that was not going to happen. But we wanted to make sure that she could still be included. So we were like, this is what the menu is. This is the food that we're having, and people are bringing this and that. Is there anything on here that you can eat? And whatever she said she could eat, we made sure there was enough of that for her. And also, if she wanted seconds, whatever it may be. But also we were like, listen, if you need to bring something that's just yours, that you would want to prepare to bring, we're absolutely open to that. Absolutely, bring it with you. it's not something we're used to, but you're our family member, and our tradition is that we get together on the holidays. So when there's a change in a norm, or we got to roll with that. We got to do our best to roll with that, because we still want to maintain the family tie. We don't want to make anyone feel ostracized or outcasted or anything like that. We want them to still feel comfortable with coming to be around family members. So that means that they may have to accept certain norms and traditions, but that also means that we have to accept certain changes in societal norms, as times change. Things change. The one constant is change. So that's something else to pay attention to as it pertains to your family and family ties and how you relate to your family members. Another thing is, make sure we continue to exercise respect for our elders. Some elderly people can be a little more difficult to deal with than others, but that does not mean that they're not deserving of some level of respect. I just think about it as, when I would love to live to be 70 plus. When I get there, I would like somebody to treat me with some sort of respect, just for being an elder in the community or an elder in the family. I would love to be treated with some level of respect. So I am going to absolutely treat my elders with a level of respect. Now, if you're hard to deal with, I will find the best way that I can, but in the way that I can deal with you, it will be handled with respect, with as much respect as I can muster up. So, I watch a lot of family interactions with people, and I see that in some cases elders are forgotten. And let's get back to respecting our elders and hearing what they've got to say. One thing about it is, a stopped clock is right twice a day. If it's stopped on 1:49, at 1:49 a.m. that clock is right, and at 1:49 p.m. that clock is right. So I'm going to hear you out. And although you may say a whole lot of things that are off, every now and then you're going to say something that's spot on. And I want to be able to hear you when you say that. So let's try to go back to exercising respect for our elders. And that starts with children. I'm going to be honest. I was raised that when you walk in a room, you say hello. If nobody says hello back, that's on them. But you speak, you say hello. I see now where children will walk in a room and just stand there and look at you. And I'm like, if you don't open your mouth and speak and say hello, but that's my norm. that's my norm and tradition. But I do think that that's just basic respect. It's basic respect. And if we start teaching basic respect of saying hello and greeting people, then other parts of respect won't be quite so hard to teach. So, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, as it pertains to your family, yes, we need to recognize the familial and cultural norms and traditions, also called our family processes. Be open to change in times and societal norms. Exercise respect for elders, but we also be careful with financials. Be careful with your finances as it pertains to your family members. Know your expectations. First of all, know your family member that you're dealing with, and know your expectations of your money. For example, if you will want or need it back, maybe you don't lend it. Maybe. If you expect to receive that money back, and if you don't get it, you can't live without it. Like, if you're going to go dig into your car payment money and say, well, my car payment's not due for another 3 weeks. You said you get paid next week. I'm going to go ahead and lend this to you. And next week comes and they get paid and you don't see your money back. Well, that car payment's coming, whether they pay you back or not. That car payment is coming. What are you going to do? So if maybe if you're gonna absolutely need it back, that to the point where if you don't get it back, you may be in trouble, then maybe you don't lend it. Maybe you don't lend it, or maybe you don't lend as much. If somebody needs $200 to help them out, but I know that my car payment's coming up and my car payment is $150, I may be able to give you this 50. I can't give you the whole 200, but I can give you 50. That way, if I don't even see it back, I'm still surviving. I'm still able to do what I need to do to make sure that I'm still okay. I can't have my car repossessed because I've got to get back and forth to and from work. I've got to be able to, shuffle. If I have children, I've got to be able to get them to where they need to get, things of that nature. So I can't go without my car, and I can't jeopardize my credit and my payment history and all that other stuff because you've got a financial woe. I'm not going to give you the full 200, but I may be able to part with this 50. I hope you can find the other 150, but here's something towards it. Maybe, shift the way you think about your finances as it pertains to your family member. Also, think about this. If you are always going to remember it or even remind them of it, maybe don't do it. Maybe you just don't do it because that negatively affects the relationship between you and the person that received from you. If I'm going to give you the 50 and every time you look up or every time I look up, I'm continuously talking about that $50, that's going to put some sort of emotion in the relationship between us. Now, you're going to feel like, really, you had to, there's going to be something there. We may get over it, but there's going to be something there. And how would that affect our family tie now? Because we've got to see each other at these family functions. And now what? So, for example, so if you know your family member and know that maybe they're not the greatest as it pertains to money, maybe their money management skills are not, as good as yours. Okay, no one's perfect. Everybody's got their pieces in it. But if I know that your money management skills are not great and you need something and I'm able to give it to you, maybe I'm just going to give it to you. If I'm going to give it to you, I'm not going to stress about getting it back because I know that you're not great at the paying it back part of the loan. Okay, but maybe also I don't give you quite as much. Maybe I just give you what's comfortable for me that still allows me to maintain my household. But maybe I help you in another way. Like, you know what? Do you want me to sit down and look at your budget with you? Maybe I can, help you with your monthly budget because it seems like you still have these same problems every month around this time. So maybe we sit down and I can help you that way. Maybe, we look at some other things. Maybe we go out to eat together and it's on me once a month so that's a weekend that you don't, or that's a day at least that you don't have to worry about how you're going to eat. I don't know. Something, anything. Maybe I have more time on my hands than you do, and you're looking at possibly getting a second job, but you need a babysitter. Maybe I'm available for that, but I can't give you my money. I can't afford to do that. And instead of creating a point of contention between us as family members, maybe I offer to help you in a different way. Pay attention to that. That damages so many family members and it tears up so many family ties over money. I mean, money tears up a lot of people's ties, but it seems to last and linger in family because if I'm friends with someone and we have an issue over money and years go by and we're no longer friends on the level we used to be, that's a friend. But that family member, whenever there's a family function, I'm going to run into you. So maybe that is a relationship that I don't want to cause any strain on, or that's a relationship that I want to do my best to protect. So let's watch how we handle each other. Watch how we relate to our family members. And we need to have some things in, that we take, what's the word I'm looking for here? We take inventory, I guess, of these things. We take a look at them. We see how much one weighs against another, how important one thing is against another. And that is even in our dating relationship. If I go back to the romantic relationships, knowing what our familial processes are, our norms and traditions, and how they weigh into the person that I choose as a romantic partner if I'm looking at maybe marrying you. So this is why I have this relationship series, because all of these things do run together. There's common threads among how we relate, period. And so that's why I wanted to take a good amount of time and just talk about the relationship we have with our family members, because it includes, it concludes how we talked about the relationship we have with ourselves and the relationship our romantic relationships, and how those can even, merge and affect the other relationships. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this 4-episode series. I hope I was able to help someone as they think about or navigate their way through the relationships that they have with themselves, with their friends, with their lovers, and with their family members. It's time for the Spirit Support segment, when we take a moment to feed our spirit. Brought to you by Jamila Wellness, where women go to be well and live beautifully. If you're anything like me, you're really hard on yourself, and occasionally can be hard on some other people too. You didn't do this. You did that, and I don't think you should have, or you could have done that, or what you shouldn't have done was this. A lot of times when it comes to it, we act like we're a victim, or like we're being punished, or maybe even should be punished. But I wonder, how do we sound to other people? Do we sound like we're whining? You should have did this. You shouldn't have done that. And why didn't you do this? And why didn't I just do that? And I should have done this. I wonder if we sound whiny. And if that's the case, do we sound whiny to God too? Oh God, why didn't you do this? You should have told me about that. And why did you do this? Why did this happen? Why didn't you allow this? It's not fair. I wonder, how do we sound to God? And maybe we should stop being so hard on him. I mean, he is doing tremendous good out of unspeakable bad. Let's stop being so hard on God. Thanks for tuning in to Resilience Rising with Naturally Cinnamon. Life has a way of tossing unexpected trials and circumstances our way. We can't stop them, but we can better handle them by raising our resilience. Remember, you can find us at ResilienceRisingPodcast.com, on Instagram at Resilience Rising Podcast, and you can also send in a question or topic for this podcast by emailing us at ResilienceRisingPodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to like this podcast, love it, share it, rate it, and comment, but most important, make sure that you've subscribed and that you're following. I'm Naturally Cinnamon. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Creative Director Jeremy Key for J Key Collective. Music by AJ Miles.